Good afternoon. I get to follow a governor who's an auctioneer, and Johnny. This is good. Good to be with you today. I'm kind of losing my voice. I was up late last night cheering on the Mets. Just kidding. Actually, I was at the Titans game on Sunday, and I don't know if I was yelling more for them or at them, but kind of lost my voice along the way. I do have some notes here I guess I ought to go by. First of all, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be here. I did not know of this organization. This is amazing. Truly incredible. Also, though, I had a thought after listening to Pastor Cruz earlier that I should yield my time. He said everything that I would hope that the organization I founded called Second Vote could say. I just don't know that I can say it as well as he can, but I'm going to get to that in a moment. Pastor Cruz did talk about a Bible, and it is true there was a Bible printed in the United States. Dollars were provided by the Continental Congress, $5,000. Prior to the Revolutionary War, Bibles could not be printed in the colonies. They had to be imported from England. So the first Bible printed in the in the New World was by a Mr. Aiken. And Mr. Aiken printed this Bible, and there are only about 50 copies that are left. There are 14 in private hands, and I have one of them. I bought one of them. As you might imagine, they're not inexpensive. But I bought one of them because when people tell me that this is not a nation built on Christian values, that this is not a Christian nation, I want to be able to tell them, well, I have this Bible. I have it in my library. And it has a gold cover leaf, and that gold cover leaf is a statement by the new United States Congress that they reviewed and approved and recommend this Bible to all the peoples of their new country known as the United States. I believe in American exceptionalism. I believe by the way, I also have a first edition copy of Charles Darwin's Origin of the Species, so I can tell people why it's wrong. But we are confronted with great challenges, and it's going to take a great deal of leadership in order to take back the ground that we've lost over the last 100 years. I served in the Marines, and as a Marine, I was taught that it's better to hold your ground than to take it back. It's always tougher to take it back. And it's true. And we've been losing ground for many years. We've heard some of that here today by some of the stories of the history of the progressive movement, prophecies from many years ago that have come true in our time that never would have been imagined earlier in my lifetime. But I really do believe in American exceptionalism. I believe in the American dream. You know, there's not a Mexican dream, there's not a Guatemalan dream, there's not a Germany dream, there's an American dream. And at the foundation of the American dream is the American family. My wife, Diane, is a congressman. Diane was born into poverty in Baltimore. She was born in the inner city. Her family was on welfare. She worked her way through nursing school. She cleaned homes and she sewed. She took public transportation. She was the first person in her family to be educated, college educated. Her mom and dad only had a 9th grade education. In 1960, I was 12 years old. I was 6 foot tall, living in a house in Michigan in the winter. No heat, no food, no running water. Had a mother, a sister, and 3 brothers. Somebody had to do something. I went out and got a job. I carry with me every day a 1960 Roosevelt dime. I know you didn't know this was going to be show and tell. But I carry this dime with me because I got a job washing cars. And I got paid 10 cents for every car I washed. If I worked real hard on Saturday and Sunday, maybe 14 hours each day, I could give my mom about $3. Now, it doesn't sound like $3 would go far, certainly not today, but back then a gallon of gas was about 20 cents. A loaf of bread was about 20 cents. A pound of bacon was about 70 cents, so maybe $3 made a difference. But I started working my way through school. I worked my way through elementary school. I worked my way through middle school. Worked my way through high school. Graduated from high school on a Thursday night, joined the Marine Corps on Friday morning. I needed a way to get to college. And the Marines provided me with a great 4-year experience. I wouldn't call Vietnam a great experience, but 2 years of combat gave me 2 more years of education benefits, got a doctorate degree in legal medicine. Joined Vanderbilt's faculty in 1986. 1990, took my program off the campus and turned it into a business. 4 people and a $70,000 loan. In 1990, I had a wife, a dog, a cat, a bird, 3 children, but no equity. So I went to a local bank, and on a signature note, I got $70,000 to start a business with 4 people. Today, I have 1,100 employees, and the business is worth about $500 to $600 million. But that's America's story. We're a nation of entrepreneurs, and we've been a nation of small banks. But today, you can't do that. Dodd-Frank won't let a bank do that. You can't follow your dream today, as you could once, because government has become much too big. Government has become far too intrusive. Government interferes in ways in which our founding fathers never imagined. The American dream is still there, but it's dying. It's dying, as is the American family. When I started Aegis in 1990, I never imagined the success that Diane and I would be blessed with. I never imagined that the young girl I met when she was 16 and I was 19 and we were on a blind date. She was with a different guy, I was with a different girl, but it was a blind date. And never imagined that she would end up as a congressman in the United States Congress, born into poverty in Baltimore. Never imagined that we would found a company that would enjoy such great success. So in many ways, we look to give back. And it's not uncommon that the company today, or Diane and I personally, are asked many, many times to give. And we do. We try to give back generously. And even when we didn't have much, we still tried to give back. About 3 years ago, Diane and I were at our local grocery store, Publix. And as I was at the checkout counter, the young lady, she asked, "Would you like to make a donation to the March of Dimes?" And I said, "Sure." Put $10 on the bill. That's 100 car washes, 10 cents each. Put $10 on the bill. Well, we walked outside, and Diane said, "Why did you do that?" Well, like a typical male, I really didn't know what she was talking about. Guys are always in trouble for what they don't know. And she said, I said, "What did I do?" She said, "Why did you give that money to the March of Dimes?" I said, "Well, why shouldn't I? March of Dimes, they address childhood diseases." She said, "Well, they give to Planned Parenthood. They give to abortion." I said, "Well, how can that be? You've got to have a child to have a child disease." She said, "No, they give to Planned Parenthood." So what I did is I sat back and I ruminated. And I ruminated some on how could I not know this? How could I not know what they would do with the dollars I was giving them? So after ruminating for a while, I did what scientists do. I thought I'd do some research. So I hired 5 young Christian men and women, smart techie types, and we started looking at organizations and what do they do with your money that you spend with them? Where does that money go? What are they supporting? And what was found was alarming and discouraging, although sometimes very positive. There is Hobby Lobby. There is Forever 21. There are businesses out there that are founded on strong Christian values. But what we found is a lot of companies that are giving the money to Planned Parenthood to abort babies, something that I am violently opposed to, emotionally. Diane and I have both fought over and over and over again to stop that organization. We helped stop them in Tennessee. We actually helped pass a law in Tennessee. But I don't want to give my money to them, directly or indirectly. I also don't want to give my money to the radical homosexual movement, the LGBT. What I created out of this was something called an organization called Second Vote. The idea is you have the first vote in the ballot box, but you vote every day with your dollars. And those dollars travel somewhere. And I would not know, if it were not for Second Vote, that the LGBT community has 56 definitions of sexuality. Now, we think we just have boys and girls. But they have 56 definitions of sexuality. Now, if I were not a scientist and have some very smart people working for me that can submit that to combinational mathematics, I now know that you can have 155 forms of marriage. So what we have seen with the Supreme Court ruling is just the beginning. It is not the end. 155 definitions of marriage, if marriage is defined between just, I'll call them carbon units after the Coneheads and Dan Aykroyd. Since we no longer talk about men and women, now we're talking about just carbon units. But if marriage gets extended to 3 or 4 carbon units, then we're into permutation mathematics, and the possibilities are literally millions of forms of marriage. What does that do to our society? What does that do to our children? What does that do to who we are as a nation? We also score environmentalism, because extreme environmentalism hurts the family. I'm a scientist. I spent a lot of years in school. I didn't graduate with my doctorate degree until I was 34. I think I'm a good scientist. I don't believe in man-made global warming. And I also, and do you know the Western nations are taking $100 billion, this was in the Wall Street Journal last week, taking $100 billion, which have been given to third world nations for clean water, for medicine, and for food, and they're diverting that to green energy, which is unnecessary. And they are taking that resource away from these families that desperately need it to get themselves out of their poverty and to become educated and to improve themselves. The world's poorest will suffer the most. It's immoral. It's sinful. It's not right. We also score cronyism, corporate cronyism. One of the things Second Vote has taught me is that big government is just as bad, or big companies can be just as bad as big government. There's this phenomenon that the further dollars go away from you, from your community and the people you know and the values they have, the further that money gets away from you, the more that money engages in what I would call mischief. And that's what happens at these big companies. Money goes off and it engages in mischief. And it does things you would never want to do with the hard dollar that you earned. We score Second Amendment. We believe it's a biblical principle. You have the right to defend yourself. That should not be something that the government takes away from you. It's something that is granted to you. We score education. Education is the responsibility of the parents. It's not the responsibility of government. I will go back to my forensic science world for a moment. But, well, let me first end on the Second Vote issue. It's a free app. There's a website. There's a free app you can download, secondvote.com. We've scored 480 organizations, for-profits, nonprofits. You'll be surprised by what you see, and you may be discouraged by what you see, but don't be discouraged. I'm not discouraged now that I see this room. This is tremendous. This is incredible. I've been kind of a lonely soldier out there. I didn't know you all were out here. So it's quite a remarkable gathering here. But one of the things Second Vote is about is we're not a think tank, we're an action tank. We're all about action. Now, I will tell you that conservatives and Christians, we don't tend to carry signs, we don't tend to go off and intimidate, which is what a lot of the world is about today, is intimidating people into believing what you believe. We don't do that as Christians. We're pretty decent folks. We're pretty civil. In fact, here, it's probably one of the politest places I've been in quite some time. But we have to fight back, and we can do so very, very easily. If what we do is we spend our money thoughtfully, we can defund the other side. Where are they getting all that money to bring lawsuits against Christians? They're getting it from you. Remember the cartoon character Pogo? He said, we met the enemy and he is us. We are the enemy because we're not spending our money wisely. We're not giving it wisely. Think before you give, think before you spend. Let me close quickly. I started a business with 4 people. We do postmortem death investigation work. That's my doctorate. We test athletes for performance-enhancing drug use. I run the NASCAR program, WWE, IndyCar. We've got 145 universities. We do drug-facilitated date rape testing. We do driving under the influence of drugs and alcohol, workplace drug testing, pain management, pregnant females to see if they're using drugs to harm their baby. We do a lot of testing. I say that my business is built in large part on stupidity. But it's not really stupidity. There is no war on drugs. What there is a war on the spirit. The drug problem we have in this country is a result of a loss of our faith. And the churches aren't speaking about it, and the pastors aren't speaking about it. I've been in this profession for over 40 years. Last year, he just did over 200 million tests. 200 million tests. Every year, my company grows. This year, we're up 17% by revenue, 20% by profit. Because of people making dumb decisions every day to use drugs and chemicals for non-medical purposes. But why are they doing that? Marx said that religion is the opiate of the masses. Today, opiates are the opiates of the masses. We are a nation sliding in the wrong direction. We need to wake up the churches. We need to wake up the pastors. Christ did not say, go out and preach my word, but look out for the IRS. He said, preach my word. We need to have our pastors preaching that word. I came to my faith late in life. I'm the kind of guy that you don't want to sit around because kind of like that non-smoker or a guy who used to smoke, now he doesn't smoke, and anybody that smokes around him is a real pain in the butt. Well, I'm kind of that guy. I didn't start my faith journey until I was 36. I survived a Jesuit education and the war in Vietnam, and I did not find my faith. Did not find my faith until later in life. But I do know that this nation, if we don't find our faith, if we don't restore our faith, we can't restore our families. And if we don't restore our families, we cannot protect our American dream. And if we don't protect the American dream, we're not going to be the exceptional nation that our fathers and grandfathers and forefathers gave to us. This has been given to us with a lot of sweat and blood, a lot of sacrifice. My father was on a ship sunk off of Okinawa. 12,000 men died at Okinawa, more than 12,000. 12,000 Navy, Army, and Marines died at Okinawa for you and I. One battle of the Second World War out in the Pacific. 12,000. It's almost unimaginable. When I was in Vietnam, we were losing 600 men a week. A lot of sacrifice to give us what we have. We need to treasure it. We need to realize every day is a blessing given to us, not only by God, but by those who have sacrificed for us. I'm going to leave you with two quotes. One is one I use on my employees all the time, because we can undo what's been done. We can restore this nation. Henry Ford said, the man who says he can and the man who says he can't are both right. And then, of course, my favorite quote from my favorite guy, John Wayne, life is tough. It's tougher if you're stupid. Thank you.